What's up, guys? It's Troublesome Junction here, and I think I'm about to say the most controversial thing I've ever said on the Troublesome Junction channel. Tomy Oliver fucking sucks.
Can't believe you, Duck. You've really let me down with this one.
That is so disrespectful, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
What the heck, Duck? I can't believe you.
I can't believe you did this fucking shit, bruv. That's
wow.
messed up.
Unbelievable.
Bruh.
Duck, you take back what you said right this instant.
Nothing about this is acceptable. What is wrong with you? You had to be that big of an absolute failure!
I can't fucking believe you, Duck, bro.
I can't believe you've done this.
I can't believe you.
Oh god, this is bad.
Bro?
Troublesome. I can't believe you done this. You goofed up, buddy. You're gonna be sent to the gulag.
That is the worst thing that you could have ever done.
I never want to see your disgusting face ever again.
FBI, open up!
Nothing about
This is real fucking bad.
Duck, we've got even bigger fish to fry now.
Bojack, I don't think this can get any worse.
Well, you see, the Twitter CEO, he's at our door trying to cancel our show now.
Oh dear god. The one app that I refuse to download. Bojack, grab Popo. We need to go to the underground bunker now.
I'm on it.
Bojack, Popo, help me grab the cozy couch. Fuck you, assholes. I watch Family Guy. Well, this is my life now. Cold, forever alone, an emphasis on the lonely. You know, it doesn't really seem that different. But I mean, I think I got everything I need though. You know, I got a nice quiet place to stay, got all my Thomas VHSs, Bojack and Popo are here to keep me company, I guess, and plenty of cans of uncooked ravioli. You could take away my pride, but you can't take away my fucking ravioli, damn it. Okay, so there are going to be 4 topics that I'm going to go into in this video. First thing is the detail of the actual engine. The second thing, the rarity. The third thing, how I would improve it. And then the fourth thing, why do people like it? Now, before I get too far into this video, I want to preface this fact. I'm not making this video to be like, oh, you're just hating on it because of all of the Duck and Oliver stands out there, you know, and how annoying that they can be with the characters. No, this is not the reason at all. I've already stated in other videos in the fact that I do like Oliver. Oliver is a great Thomas character. I know that people are going to say, oh, well, your nickname's Duck, so you must like Duck more. Surprisingly, no. Even though, yes, so I do share a name for different reasons. I've always liked Oliver, even when I was a kid. I think the episode Escaped really solidified that fact. Oliver is a great character, so don't get it misconstrued in the fact that, oh, you're just hating for the sake of hating. I do have genuine criticisms with this model and the hype around it. But let's get into that. Okay, so the obvious thing on Tomy Oliver to point out is the fact that he has black wheels. And I mean, I guess that on its own isn't necessarily a bad thing, but if they were so adamant on giving all of the other characters accurate colored wheels, for example, they gave, you know, James his black wheels, they gave Thomas his blue wheels, they gave Percy his green wheels. You know, if they give all of these other characters specific colors and what's accurate to them, why didn't they do the same thing for Oliver? Now, I mean, I will give, you know, kind of points to this in the fact that literally everyone who made merchandise on Oliver gave him black wheels for some godforsaken reason. The Wooden Railway model did it. Tomy Capsule Play Rail did it. We'll get into that a little bit later. But, you know, a lot of ranges gave him black wheels for some reason. Don't know why they did it, but I guess that could get a pass. And I think green wheels would have made him pop so much better. You know, the black wheels just look so drab and boring. You know, this is something you expect to find at the bottom of Toby. Another thing that I do want to cover, and I just can't get behind this, is that thick fucking boiler. Who in their right mind looked at this and said, yeah, Oliver, the relatively slender engine in the boiler, let's just make that shit fat and wide like a big ass loaf of bread.
Looking like a double wide surprise. God damn.
Who looked at that and said, now that, I rocks with that. I think that this could have been handled so much better. It's just unnecessarily fat. And with a fat boiler means a fat face.
Hello, fat face, whistled Henry.
And the thing about the face, this face is not only fat, it's horrible. This is like one of Tomy's least accurate faces. And I know that, you know, people are going to say, oh, well, none of the Tomy engines are really 100% accurate. If you look at the Tomy faces, they honestly, for what they were working with, look insanely accurate to the source material. There's no arguments against that. Toby, you had James, who looks great. Henry's looks amazing. Duck's another great Western engine. Flawless. Thomas is the only one I can say his isn't 100% accurate on, you know, his normal Tomy model, but it's still passable. Oliver's just looks in all of the ways, no, it just doesn't work. The pupils are too small, the face is too fat, that fucking nose is huge as hell. It's like a goddamn tomato. It just doesn't look right at all. And the funnel, I mean, I can give it a pass because literally all the Tomy engines had tiny funnels, but I do think that, you know, Oliver is notorious for having that tall ass funnel. I do think that rather than giving him the stumpy one, maybe just a little bit of extra height on that could have definitely fixed that up. Only things that I will say is that the cab area and then the firebox area, they look flawless. I think that they look amazing. Insanely good detail. It just looks so good. And then another thing that I'm gonna get kind of backlash for is the running board. Now, I understand that the running board is a part of the model. They didn't do it like a separate thing, like how they did with Thomas, or James, or Duck, or the other characters. They made it all one solid piece. But I feel that they should have at least printed something on it, because when you look at it, it just looks like a big mesh of green. It looks like a dollar store toy. And, you know, in the case with, like, Hornby Thomas, for example, I think that can kind of get away with it because it has a lot more extra detail in other areas. But in Tomy's case, I don't know, if you just compare it to the other engines, it just doesn't look right. I feel like they should have at least printed on some black, or, you know, maybe thrown on the white, whatever color they wanted to go for. I do think that that could have really amped the model, and it just looks super bad. The wheel configuration, I do think, is a very interesting spin on that fact, but I do kind of wish that the back wheel was a little bit smaller. You can still have it be the powered part, but for example, on Edward's unit, I love how they handled the wheels on Edward. I feel like they should have taken that right there, put it at the front, and then put some smaller wheels in the back. It would have made it a little bit more complicated in terms of, like, unifying how they assemble all of the chassis, but I feel like if you want to make an accurate model, I feel like they could have done that. And for the fanboys who think that my claims are unfounded, that these changes can't be made, here are some examples of some fan models that captured the detail of Oliver far better than the original one, proving that my claims are 100% possible. If fans can do this shit on their own, there is no reason that a big corporate company couldn't have done the same thing. I'm not trying to sit here and say, oh, add the fucking brake pipes and vacuum pipes to it, give them sprung buffers and movable eyes. I'm not saying make them hyper detailed, but for the detail that's already there, give it a different paint coat, move around some plastic a little bit, smaller changes that all pile together to make this model, to be quite frank, shit. But as you can see by Oliver, he's just not a good model. And for people saying that, oh, he's just an older model, oh, you know, it's the charm of it, I don't buy that at all. Because there are a lot of dog shit models, and even dead basic ones. For example, a dead basic Thomas model that I think is one of the best Thomas things ever made is the Gold Bear. Gold Bear has like no detail. It's literally just the basic shape of the engine, slap a number on it with a really accurate face, and boom, those things look phenomenal. But I just feel like on Tomy Oliver, they just miss so many points that could have easily been fixed that they just decided not to, but we really don't know why they made the choices that they did. But without further ado, let's move on to the next section of this video. I think I've rambled long enough on this. The second point of this video that I want to go into is the rarity of it. This is the one thing that people will always gas up. And they say that Tomy Oliver is this hard to find and insanely rare thing. It's the next white-faced troublesome truck, guys! It isn't. It really isn't. Tomy Oliver is not a rare engine. You can see people who have literally stacks of these guys in their collections. You see them plastered everywhere, whether that be on Twitter, Instagram, eBay. You know, you see them so commonly. It's really unfair to say this is a rare thing when you see it as common as you do. He's not rare, he's just high in demand. That's a big difference. He's just not as rare as people gas him up to be. And then the prices that people charge for this thing are like, are you serious? And people look at it and say, you know, that makes a lot of sense. You know, people give the white-faced troublesome truck a lot of shit for the same reason. But with the white-faced troublesome truck's case, you don't see it as often as you would Tomy Oliver. Usually when people post listings of it, it's always the same person. And more often than not, it's that one guy who tries to flack it off for like $1,000 fucking dollars like an absolute idiot. People will slap such a high price tag on him because, as I said, he is a high demand character. He's Oliver. He's the only version of Oliver that there is for the motorized play rail range. And then I see all the time, you have these younger people in the community who want to feel involved, show off their collections, and they always have that one thing that they really want. Everyone has it. And for a lot of kids, it's Tomy Oliver. These kids are working their asses off just to save up for, in all honesty, a mediocre model and blow all of their money. And I'm not going to sit here and lecture you about, oh, how should you use your money? Let's be real, if you're on my Instagram, you know that I purchase a lot of dumb shit, usually for the sake of fucking Instagram memes and YouTube videos and whatnot. Was it worth it? Probably fucking not. I feel like a good price range to put it at, because I will admit, it is not as common as finding like a Tomy Thomas, a Tomy Gordon, or a Tomy Henry. You know, I'm not saying, oh, sell it for $20 and call it a day. Though if you see it for $20, I will admit you should definitely buy that. That is a fucking steal. I think the reasonable price range, yeah, I'd say maybe 40 at the lowest, but then at the most I would say 70. If you're paying anything above that, I would say it's a no-go. An item that I would give a direct comparison to of it would be the Troublesome Brake Fan, which is in that price range. You will commonly see the Troublesome Brake Fan in the Wooden Railway range sell for about between $60 to maybe $70, $75, at most maybe $100. That was mass produced in, you know, the millions. You know, that was something that was well distributed, but it became a rare item because everyone wanted a troublesome truck and kids just fucked them up. But once again, people aren't trying to slap ridiculous price tags as commonly as they do with Tomy Oliver. I've seen someone who was trying to pawn off a fucking Tomy Oliver that was broken and missing the side rods for $120. Like, are you serious? It's the same case with people who try and sell the Bandai Tech Diesel 10 when it's missing the claw for an insanely high price. It's like, you're not gonna get it. Bandai Tech Diesel 10, actually, I would say that that is a fairly good example of an item that I do think warrants the hype around it. You know, he is very hard to come by in terms of getting him with the claw intact. That is a very hard thing to find because the claw was very fragile. And he's an insanely accurate character. And I'm not just saying this because, oh, you've already said Diesel 10 is your favorite character, so you're just biased. No. I've also stated in other videos, I love Oliver just as much. Bandai Tech Diesel 10 is a very good model. He's insanely accurate to the source material. He warrants the hype around him because, yeah, he is a popular character, and he is the only one with the articulated pinchy in all areas. I'd say Nakayoshi still has that, but it's still less than that. Let's move on to the next section on exactly why I think people gas up this Oliver to be better than it actually is. The next topic of discussion that I want to get into about this model is why it gets the praise that it gets. And as I've mentioned it before, it is put simply because it is the only motorized Oliver that there is out there. And Oliver being a popular character, and a lot of people in the Thomas community being big on collecting Tomy stuff, it'd be a pretty reasonable assumption to say people are going to like it just because it is Oliver. People will look at something even when it is dog shit, they'll like it just because it is what it is. You know, people are like, oh, well, I don't care that it's this, I don't care that it's that, I like it because it is this character. One of the things I hear the most, it's charming. I have a love-hate relationship with that phrase because it's a phrase that I feel is way too overused, and it is not a proper point to use against why something is good and why something is bad, because calling something charming is fairly subjective. People love Oliver, people want Oliver, so that's the reason why so many people cling to this thing like it's the next coming of Jesus. You know, people like it because it is Oliver. As I mentioned before, you know, there's nothing wrong with people liking those Thomas characters. I love them just as much as anyone else does, but I just feel that all of the hype warranted around it, just because it is that way, doesn't necessarily mean it is a good model that is worth all of the praise and asking around it. You know, it's in the same fact of when people do reviews on something and they give it glowing reviews, as Leo Kim Video would say, whether it be, oh, I like it because I'm nostalgic for it. When people do like reviews on stuff and they like it because it's new. When people see this engine, they're holding in their hands, they're infatuated by it. They like it just because, oh my god, it's Oliver, I'm holding Oliver in my hands. And that is a great feeling, but it also can be a downfall in terms of looking at things with a critical eye. That is the big issue with it, is when people, they gas it up because, oh, it's Oliver, it's Oliver, it's Oliver. They can't sit back and look at their favorite character in a critical way for that very reason. Once again, there's nothing wrong with liking those characters, but it is important to look at something with a critical eye to distinguish, oh, well, is it worth the time? Is it worth the money? You know, all of that. Saying this out loud, God, it sounds like I'm trying to be a Debbie Downer, but I'm not trying to be. I'm all about the phrase, if it makes you happy and it's not infringing on the well-being of someone else, fucking go for it. No one should ever shit on your parade in that regard. But I do think that when you speak on something critically, you should not let your emotions get in the way. So now with all of the, you know, criticisms that I've given it out of the way, and probably the 50,000 dislikes I've gotten on this video from the 12-year-olds who just saw the thumbnail alone and haven't watched it to this point, here's the last section of the video that I think really would tie it all together. Let's get into that. For this final section of the video, this is going to be detailing what I would do now. You know, I'm not gonna make a time machine, of course, go back in time into Tomy headquarters and say, oi, check this shit out, man. Fix it like this. I have two simple solutions. One of them not so simple, but the other one I'd say is a very simple solution. The first thing we're gonna talk about, we know that Tomy still manufactures the motorized Playrail range. We know that they still make engines, and we know that they do re-releases of older characters, give them CGI faces, maybe a new cosmetic look. We've seen it done with Edward before, you know, yada yada yada. One thing that we could do is, if there's ever a way to contact Tomy, let them know on the concerns and say, hey, if you guys have any plans to make a new Oliver, do you have any plans to, you know, fix this guy, re-release him? What, you got anything? Now, with saying that, I'm not saying that we all, oh, make a mosh pit and spam them and harass them. No, that is not the case in any situation. You should never do that. But I do think that, you know, maybe drop a comment or, like, you know, send a message and say, hey, you know, do you guys have any plans to release that? And then if that doesn't follow suit, then leave it alone. But I feel like if there's ever an opportunity, whether it be like a poll or something, or like, you know, any way to reach out to them in regards of like, hey, you should make this, we should let them know. Like, hey, re-release an Oliver. Because let me tell you now, if they did make an updated Oliver, I'd be the first in line to buy it. I think that I honestly would have faith that it would be better than the original. Another thing, I'm still kind of surprised in the fact that Mattel hasn't just looked at it and we're just like, you know, we like money. Fuck it. Let's just make Oliver. I know people are going to say, oh, but it's Trackmaster 2 and whatnot. But with saying that, think about what you could do with the body shell now. If they were to even re-release it and just make the body shell, think about all the potential that that could have for customs. Because the chassis itself really isn't that hard to make or to fit into the engine. You'd maybe take a little bit of shaving away some plastic and whatnot, but I do think it is possible. Here's a solution that I think would be the easiest thing to do. Shapeways. There is no Tomy Oliver body shell or a custom Tomy Oliver body shell on Shapeways. And as everyone knows in the Thomas community, Shapeways is like every modeler's best friend. You know, if you model in the Thomas and Friends community, you have used Shapeways in some way, shape, or form. Hell, I'm not even a modeler, and I use it for the troublesome truck faces and the slate wagon. You know, just some really overall good shit. Just absolutely stellar. And it's all done by people in this very community. Talented people who know how to use those 3D softwares and make some of the top-notch shit. If you guys haven't seen my Shapeways unboxing video, highly recommend you check that out just to kind of get a taste of it. It's a site that so many people in the community could give life to things that didn't have a purpose. You know, for example, one of my favorite Railway series characters is Stanley, aka the predecessor to Smudger. He's never going to get merchandise. Let's be 100% honest now. No one's going to look out and say, this guy right here, let's do it. No, if anything, they're going to make Smudger. I love Smudger to death, but I don't think that Stanley is ever going to get that. But because of Shapeways and people in the community who do care about this character, there are plenty of alternatives to 3D print and fit him to existing chassis. So I could get that Stanley, you know, model that I've been wanting. Just sand it down, add some paint to it, boom, Stanley. There hasn't been anyone who sat down and made a Tomy Oliver body shell, which I still to this day can't believe hasn't been done. With the popularity of Oliver in general, there has not been anyone who has made that. So, if there's anyone out there who is really good at modeling things on, if there's anyone out there who's really good at 3D modeling and, you want to make something, make some money, I would say make a Tomy Oliver body shell or reach out to someone who does. Do not harass them. I don't condone harassment, but maybe drop a comment if they ever take suggestions. Say, have you ever considered making a modified Tomy Oliver? Make him look a little bit more accurate, slap him on an existing chassis, and boom. And let's say that this video gets enough attention in the fact that someone out there is like, hey, I could do that. If you drop a comment down below on this video and you have a link to it, I will put it in the description of this video and pin the comment. And if you just so happen to make one, if you ever feel like, sliding one of them bad boys my way, hit me up on Instagram at troublesome_junction. I will gladly accept that. It's mind-boggling that it hasn't been done, seeing as the popularity of Oliver, but that's just one thing that I feel like could be an easy fix. And for the people who are concerned about, oh, they have to have the officially licensed thing. Well, in your case, I really can't say much, but here's what I will say, because I know that there are people who are very anal about, making customs for collections and stuff like that. Look at the Thomas community as a whole. If it weren't for customs and people's works and all that, do you think the Thomas community would be where it is today? Not at all. Think about all of the people who've made Railway series Thomases using, Hornby Thomases and Bachman Thomases. Think about all of the custom characters who have been made and modeled by so many talented people in this community. I feel like this community is founded off of making customs of engine just to show their appreciation for that little blue tank engine. I think that this is a really good way that could benefit the community. One, it would get those prices for those fucking Tomy Olivers down drastically. And two, it would be an easy way for people to finally get their hands on it. Boom. Simple fix right there. Slap that on a fucking purse chassis or whatever, and you got a simple fix right there. So I guess that brings this to the end of the video. I don't hear any more riots, and I don't hear Twitter at my door anymore, so I think I might be good.
I mean, I actually like it down here.
No one asks for your opinion, Popo. Because you know how cancellation works on the internet. People only care about it for a week and then move on to something else. Probably James Charles. But that's all I gotta say for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the flip side. Ooh, ravioli! What's up guys, this is Troublesome Junction here, and I just want to give a thank you to all the people in the beginning of the video who sent in the clips of them roasting me. It was something that I had asked for on my Instagram, and you guys delivered. You guys are absolute chads for taking time out of your day to be a part of this video. So that's all I gotta say. See you on the flip side.